All right, so Cameron, I'm looking for a new project car, my first project car ever. What should I be looking for?
So if you go out there, you buy a, I don't know, Fiat Panda, let's say. Well, there's lots of aftermarket support for that. That's not a really good example. It's say you go out there and you buy a Alfa Romeo Spider. In the United States, there's not going to be a lot of aftermarket support for that guy. Go to a car meet, you pull up in an Alfa Romeo Spider, they're probably going to be like, what the heck is that? Immediately when you're going to a fun project car, you're going to think Miata, because primarily, it is a pretty good sports car, 50-50 weight distribution.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of aftermarket support for it. So there's a huge community behind it. There's lots of people who will be able to tell you answers virtually to any issue that you could have on one of those cars. So you're thinking Miata, you're thinking Honda, Civic. There's a reason why there's a lot of people who make builds of Civics, even Accords.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
Civics, Accords, Preludes, Lexuses, LS400s. Lots of people out with aftermarket supports for that. Any sort of car with a 2JZ in it. Absolutely exploded. Literally any car with a 2JZ in it, there's probably a list of forums that have some sort of build suggestions or help with that.
Yeah.
And you're also looking for a BMW of some sort. E30, E21, E36, E46. There's a huge list of aftermarket support and community forums for BMWs and all those sorts of things. So those are kind of the cars that you're looking for. You're just primarily looking for something fun, affordable, easy to work on. Subaru now.
What?
Subaru.
Nobody likes Subarus.
Full disclosure here, Subarus are fun. They are affordable. There's a huge aftermarket community for them, but Subarus are not reliable.
Says the guy who likes Audis.
The Audis are not reliable, but anybody who's out there claiming the Subarus are the most reliable, not true.
So, Cameron, we've talked about affordability, we've talked about finding a car that's fun, reliable, good aftermarket support, good community behind it. Let's say I find a car that, you know, on paper looks like it's all of those things. How do I know I'm getting a good deal and there's no monkeys in the closet underneath the hood?
You can always look at the forums just to see basically if there's any sorts of things you want to look out for. You can always come in to look at a video like this that sort of gives you a brief overview on what to look for when you're first buying a car. But one of the easiest ways to find out if you're getting a good deal is to find someone in the car community, like me, like John, somebody buddies, someone who kind of has a little bit more knowledge on what to look for a lot of different cars. Like for me, I would definitely know a lot to look for on a lot of mid-2000s Audis for sure, if that's what you're looking for. For John, they know a lot about Subarus and BMWs. So if you really just grab a friend like that to come look at the car for you, they're going to be able to tell a little bit more key details of the car to see if it's going to be a good deal. Like spotty service history, oil leaks, issues that kind of arise commonly on a lot of our cars, like for Audis, if the timing belt's been changed, if it has leaky turbos, and if it has a bunch of leaky coolants in some parts. Since for most German cars, that's going to be an issue with the plastic parts they have for the cooling system. So that's one of the easiest ways to determine if you're getting a good deal on a car. Just grab a friend who's in the car community and go look at some cars.
Perfect. So one of the other things that I kind of had to really struggle with when I was going through this process is what kind of project car to build. A sports car. You could get an Overlander. Do I want a van to live out of? Do I need a new daily? A rear-wheel drive versus a front-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive? For me, I've owned front-wheel drive cars, I've owned all-wheel drive cars, but I've never owned a rear-wheel drive car.
Rear-wheel drive cars are also very good as far as performance goes, because while front-wheel drive cars are awesome, there is a place for front-wheel drive cars, but they have certain limitations when it comes to performance. You put power into a corner, it's just going to go straight.
Understeer.
Understeer. So rear-wheel drive is very friendly as far as like a performance.
Also drifty boys.
Drifty boys. Always drifting is more fun.
Drifting is always
you can
more
drift
fun
a front-wheel drive car, but it's always going to be funner than a rear-wheel drive car.
Yeah, it's just better.
Skidding. It's skidding in a front-wheel drive car.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta like break out the trays from McDonald's.
Yeah.
Think about what you already have if you already have a car. If you don't have a car, well, then it sounds like you're building your daily, right? But if you already have something, what complements it? Which way do you want to start? I chose to start with a sports car. Thumbnail.
Thumbnail.
BMW E36 328i. Why did I choose this vehicle? It was a lot of thought, a lot of scanning Facebook and Craigslist, and even looking at a couple of dealers. I wanted a sports car, so that automatically kind of removed a large portion of possible project cars. And then I wanted something rear-wheel drive coupe, so that narrowed it down a little more. And then it really just came to the kind of the other factors we've already talked about of affordability, a great community behind it, and this car was not that expensive. And there's a great community behind it. The engine in this is shared with other BMWs. There's lots of them out there. Parts are plentiful. They're also easy to work on, not too difficult. And then it met my goals. So yes, I wanted a sports car, but there's a lot of things you could do with a sports car. What I'm looking for is a canyon car, something that's good in the turns, good in the canyons. You might be thinking, why not a Miata? Because that's what everybody says, as far as not straight line speed, but fun to drive in the curves. Miata, I think is, one, it's a little overdone, and that's where my other kind of criteria comes in of wanting something that fits well at a car meet that not everybody else has. Yes, a lot of people have E36s, but I don't see a lot of people with E36 Canyon cars, and I think that's gonna be a fun challenge to build. Something a little bit different than maybe what you would typically do with a car like this. For this build on this channel, we're gonna be doing this in a couple stages. This is the first video. We're just talking about how did I get here, give some advice to the other noobs out there who have never bought a project car before. Stage one is gonna be brakes and suspension. You might be able to tell the back suspension on this is basically collapsed at this point, so throwing it on some coilovers, upgrading the brakes. The brakes on these are a little warped. Stage two, that's where we're gonna do kind of the engine stuff. We're gonna do a tune, intake, exhaust, and see how the 0 to 60 time feels, see how it feels pulling out of the turns. So, and then stage three I would consider is kind of our cosmetic build. So we're gonna wrap it, we're gonna look at rims, mess around with the interior, that kind of stuff. Just see how much is left over at the budget. And I really recommend this. If you're doing a project car, this is a great way to do it. Do it in stages, think about your total budget, and then set aside a little bit here, and then a little bit on the next stage. Don't go crazy wild and buy $2,000 rims when you haven't done any suspension, right? It's just not worth it. So do it in stages, makes it easier to budget. And so for me, it's all about the suspension, the brakes, and then the engine mods, and then it's kind of, well, let's see how much money is left over in my budget. Thank you for watching the first episode of what we're calling the Cali Cruiser. Next episode, jumping into stage one, brake, suspension. It's gonna be a blast. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite first project cars are. Love to hear what you're out there working on. Let me know any suggestions, any ideas from the viewers of something I should do with this thing. Tell your friends, if you got a friend who's looking for a first project car, send them this video. Let them know to follow along with us. They'll probably learn a lot, as I know I'm about to learn a lot. Stay dead, and we'll see you in the junkyard.
What's up, buddy? We got the gimbal going. What is this, hallway dance parties?
Alright, what do you think? Do I look like that blonde British girl who does really cool supercars?
You kind of do, actually.
Kind of? Nice.
Yeah.